Hi, it's me, Anne-Marie from the BickertonGrace Gallery, and today we're going to do something a little bit different. So we're talking artist in the spotlight. Because we're the BickertonGrace Gallery, we wanted you to understand who the people behind the gallery are, and as myself, coming from an artistic background, this is where we're going to start. I've got T asking me the questions out of sight, so bear with us, and hopefully you can get to know the BickertonGrace Gallery a little bit more through myself. So,
hello, Anne-Marie.
hello, T.
T speaking. First question, where do you believe your creative journey began?
So I think for me, like I've heard from so many of the artists as well, it did begin as a child. I was always messing, making things. I wasn't a very academic child, so creating was a big thing. My dad, who was very into photography, had a darkroom under the stairs. So we're going back quite a few years, and yeah, watching him creating that old style where that picture comes from nowhere, that magic, I was hooked. That's how it began.
Ah. How did you break into the world as a professional photographer?
So I went to college and studied photography, and then when I left, I basically just walked the streets and took my portfolio into different magazines, made appointments. Back in that day, you had a book. It wasn't all online. You couldn't show people images like that. So I would take my portfolio. I actually remember the first break I got was a magazine with a woman called Fran Jeps, and I don't think she realises quite how she started me off. I had a collection of photographs which was all about women, and it was inspiring women, and I just went out there and shot a whole load of pictures of women in different places, in bars, just inspiring places, and took those to the magazines. So that was what I could start with, really. So she gave me my first magazine job, and yeah, thanks, Fran.
What are your most memorable commissions and to where?
Oh man, it's been so many. I've had the most beautiful memories through my work. Going to South Africa with Martin Clunes. I actually remember on that job him saying to me, we stopped in the middle, I think we'd just been taking pictures of him with rhinos and giraffes. I mean, it was stunning. And he said, aren't we lucky with what we do that we get to go to these incredible places? And I was like, yeah. I went to Mauritius, Los Angeles, oh my gosh, Africa. I mean, to lots of beautiful places in the name of my work. So it was quite humbling. I had that moment, I was always waiting for someone to tap me on the shoulder and just go, excuse me, what are you doing? So like I was a bit of a fraud, but I'm still here.
How did you decide on the medium you chose, or is that ongoing?
Yeah, I think, so because I was always creating in the background, and I love painting. I actually love oil painting, and I do them privately, and I have done private commissions for people, but mostly I've done them as part of interacting with the photography as well. The photography was something that was me, and when I think when people ask you what you do for a living, when you say things like I'm an artist, I'm a photographer, you're not saying it's your job, it's what you are. And learning that through what I was doing, I was so gifted to be given these opportunities. The painting is something I love, and I can get lost. If I'm stressed, upset, I can just throw myself into painting, and it's the most amazing thing. But then that leads into the digital. When the digital world came along, which is something I just wanted to mention, being an old school photographer, working with film, the digital revolution changed everything for me because it made me look through computers, and it was a hard transition when you basically are told everything you've learned up to this point, stop, because you now have to learn this. I know a lot of photographers that stopped at that point and went, no, I'm not doing it, I'm going to give it up. But embracing that digital thing and making it a part of my journey gave me also a place to create digitally as well. So then I not only could take the pictures, but I could manipulate the pictures, and it actually was quite a beautiful gift. So yeah, embracing that was quite a thing. So both, I think.
Amazing. How did the BickertonGrace Gallery come about?
So actually, I was on a job photographing in the House of Commons for an amazing woman called Vanessa Brady. So she commissioned me to come along and photograph a meeting all about intellectual property. I wasn't really sure what intellectual property was at that time as well. and I met an artisan there who was also talking at the meeting called Robert Grace. Now, Robert Grace was doing a collection at the time called the Crystal Bathe Collection, and he questioned me on if he knew if I would photograph it in a different way for him, and we got together to create some images, and I created a shoot for him. That shoot was the beginning of the creative journey that I embarked on with him. So we very quickly created a set of images from that shoot, and it kind of organically just happened.
What would you say the ethos of the gallery is?
Connection, absolutely connection, connect. I was really lucky when I was younger to be part of something called the Lemonade Factory, and it was a studio in South London where I lived for a while. We had an incredible group of artists, photographers that we would meet up once a week. It was a studio where we would hire the studios out as well. And when this gallery started, it kind of brought me back to those days where it really was somewhere we could draw creatives in and create a hub, an artist hub. So people that would come here and support each other. So supporting artists as well. So it's artists supporting artists, really.
What was the first piece of artwork that you brought to the BickertonGrace gallery?
So, from the shoot that I did with Robert Grace of the bath, it was a dancer sitting in the bath. I basically took that photograph and divided it into 12 pieces. Each piece, I then took everything I'd learned up to now, my painting, the messing, the photography, and I created 12 individual pieces of artwork. And through the conversations and the brainstorming that I was having with Robert at the time, it was about taking one piece of artwork and dividing it so more people could enjoy that piece of artwork. And it was also the beginning of the sentiment collection. But those 12 pieces incorporated gold leaf, resin, oil paints, and they are very, very special. Behind me here, T is just pointing at, thinking, what is he pointing at? This is the image, so basically, that I created. I mean, this is an offshoot of that image. So this has been the gold leaf, the resin, the oil paints. So from this image, I mean, you can see I'm very, very heavily, Klimt was one of the passions of an artist that I absolutely adore. And you can see a reference to that in this as well. So this is the one that got divided into 12 pieces. So thanks, T. I'm thinking, what's he looking at? Yeah, so I can show you those 12 pieces. They are very special to me. It took me a year and a half to complete that. So
amazing. You have a collection called the Naked Skull Collection. How did this come about?
So again, Robert Grace, his thing was Swarovski crystals, gold leaf, and we obviously both liked skulls. So he would adorn these with gold and crystals. I would photograph them. And it started with me playing around with all the images. We'd take the pictures and then turn them into a collection, which is now called the Naked Skull Collection. So that's how it began.
You also have a collection called the Disappearing Art Collection.
So this one you might know a bit more about.
I do.
So the Disappearing Art Collection was, again, we have to be creative here, don't we, T?
We do.
Yeah. Being creative is something that feeds our souls, and it's really important. When it started, we used some of the photography, and we between myself and T, we took an image each side of the image. So he would do the left-hand side and I would do the right, and then we painted them, or chalked them, actually not painted, on the wall. So they're huge. Photographed them, and then painted over them, printed a selection of 30, or 25, wasn't it?
25, yeah.
Printed 25 of them, and then when we deleted it, it was gone. So it's a limited edition collection called Disappearing Art. We did 10 of these, and I love them.
I do too.
Yeah, and it was so much fun doing it.
It is, yes.
With T. I mean, we got a little bit competitive sometimes as we'd look at each other's side, go, But yeah, they're really special. It's a really lovely collection.
They are. So, exhibitions now, and artists in the spotlight to showcase.
So basically we are leading towards, I mean, the Artist in the Spotlight thing is something we created, going back to the connecting thing. The Artist in the Spotlight is a way for people to understand the artists, their journey up to now, And when you're looking at a piece of artwork, to really, really get a sense of what that means and to share in their passion of that creation. And that's why we started the Artist in the Spotlight. And leading from that, we do exhibitions now with the artists as well. So that's a really big thing.
What makes the BickertonGrace Gallery different from any other art gallery?
I think artists supporting artists is one of the key things. And wouldn't you say that's
I agree.
A really big thing. We have an empathy and an understanding for the artists. It's not just putting pictures on the wall and getting people to come and see them. You know, we understand the artists and the images, and yeah, it's a quite important thing. And the connection thing. Actually, one thing that does make us slightly different as well is the sentiment collection, which I actually haven't gone into too much. The art that we divided into 12 pieces led on to a conversation about why stop there? Why not divide a piece into more that we can then share globally? And I mean, potentially, with 100 artists that we've brought on board in the sentiment collection, dividing each piece into 1,000 pieces, potentially 100,000 people could join in this one collection. So it was a beautiful form of connecting, and that's what we're all about, is connecting.
It's very well said, Anne-Marie. So what's next for BickertonGrace Gallery?
Funny you should ask that. So it's really exciting, actually. So we're a small hub of artists. So there's myself, T, there's the artist K, who is part of our team, obviously Robert Grace, and we have a new person in the team now called Mike Stevens, who's come on board, and he is helping us to take this to the next level. And it's really exciting. So we are having an exhibition on the 20th of April, where we are relaunching the gallery with a new lease of life, and we're really excited to share with you and show you where this gallery is going next. It's very exciting, isn't it? It
really is. Also, we have a resident artist as well.
And we do. We have a resident artist, which is very new to us, called Piluka. So she has a studio here, and that's been a wonderful experience for us because we can actually bounce off each other. And it just brings the energy up as well. So it's wonderful, yeah.
Amazing. Thank you for your time, Anne-Marie.
Thank you. And I hope this gives you a bit more understanding on the people behind the BickertonGrace Gallery. So thank you for watching.